Welcome back to Relationship Status. It's your girl, Nique Cruz.
Nateisha Samuel, a.k.a. Professor T.
CL Butler.
And your boy, Yusuf in the building. And remember, you can catch us on all podcast platforms. Just search Relationship Status. Nique.
Yes.
How did this past week treat you?
It was glorious. I loved it.
It was.
You loved this week.
That's an upgrade.
It's an upgrade.
It's a big upgrade from one word answer. So,
yeah.
do tell.
Do tell.
Just a lot of things are going well. That's all.
Okay.
Awesome.
Keep y'all updated.
That's what?
I'll keep y'all updated.
Okay.
All right.
So it's a work in progress.
Yes.
Okay.
Professor T, how was your...
My week?
Yeah, how was your week?
My week is great. It's been going wonderful. I got a chance to see baby Marley,
Baby.
also known
Baby
as
Marley.
Kiki.
Mm-hmm.
And her brothers are not feeling me calling her that. They're like, that makes no sense, Auntie.
It doesn't.
It doesn't, but hey, it's going to stick.
It's going to make it still.
I'm going to call her Kiki.
Is she the only girl?
No, she's the second girl.
Oh, well, yeah.
So her big sister is Kinsley, and her big brothers are Kaden and Kobe. So she has to be Kiki.
Let her have her different name.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, on her birth certificate, on her legal documents.
Okay.
Brother CL,
What's happening?
how was your week?
Great.
Great?
Great week.
Awesome.
Great week.
All right. Do
Great
tell.
week.
Do tell.
Right? It was great.
It's not much to tell.
It's not much to tell.
Not much to tell. Not ready to share yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not ready to
That's all.
share yet. Yet.
No, not ready to share yet.
Brother,
What's that?
how's the mixtape sales? Before I get into my major questions, how's the mixtape sales?
No mixtape sales this week.
No mixtape
We
sales?
shut down the operation this week. Carter's been shut down.
Oh, okay.
It's been shut down?
Yes.
Okay. I got a question for you.
About.
I ain't going to ask it.
Okay.
All right.
All right, use up your week.
My week was, it was good. I had a very good week. The class has ended.
Okay.
My group,
Your singing group?
no, we have within my class, my grad school class, we've always broken up into these groups, so we have to read a particular book and we have a meeting, and we got to return a reflection from the meeting. And so there's usually a time for us to bounce ideas and stuff off each other about things that's going on in the class. So we had a final project where we had to take 4 lesson plans and turn them into something that we've been studying,
Okay.
a different kind. So I understood the project as I read it. When we got into the discussion about the project within my group, one of the ladies said, yeah, we got to do a lesson plan from 4 different subjects. And I was like, but I don't teach no other subject but English. Why do I have to do 4 different subjects? And so she was like, well, I met with Dr. Higgins. Well, I met with the professor, and she said,
Just go ahead and tell the names.
my fault.
Yeah.
I met with the professor, and she said, you have to do 4 different things. And I was like, well, that don't make no sense. So another teacher that's in there said, oh, well, it makes sense because, we're getting our master's in curriculum, and if we're going to be able to tell people, about curriculum and work with that, then, we got to be able to do it in different subject areas. So to me, I was like, it sounds stupid, but it makes some kind of sense.
All right, you went with it.
I went with it.
Does it make sense?
Huh?
Does it make sense?
Not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot,
Okay.
no. So I went and got some other teachers to give me their lesson plans. I worked extremely hard and did some A-quality work, only to get an email from my professor. It says, we need to meet ASAP, urgently. So I said, because it was Friday, and I guess grades were due Sunday. So I said, because I was just clowning the girl who told me to do 4 different subjects, she got a similar email. And I was clowning her earlier in the week. I was like, see what you get. You ain't did all your work right. So then I get on the phone. She said, please tell me, where did I go wrong? I said, where'd you go wrong about what? She was like, how did my wires get crossed? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. She was like, why would you give me a lesson plan in science, in math, and in algebra, in science, algebra, and history. If you're an English teacher, I just wanted
Good question.
I wanted 4 English lesson plans.
That's what she asked for?
And so I explained it to her how I got to that. And she said, I was talking to Shannon because Shannon's an elementary school teacher and they teach all subjects. So I needed her to do 4 different subjects. She's like, it wasn't for high school, for you. You were supposed to just give me 4. She's like, so now I can't grade it on the rubric because there's a way it has to align through one subject. So she said, I don't know what grade to give you. I said, well, she said, if you were a biology teacher,
you get an A?
You get an A for the biology one. If you were algebra, you get an A for that one. So I said, well, can't we just give me an A? She was like, well, it was late, so I'm supposed to give you a C. I said, but it was late because I was busting my behind on this. And she's like, I understand, so I can't give you an A. I'll give you a B.
That's what I was going to say. Just meet me in the middle.
She gave me a B.
Why was it late?
Because I had a teacher that I had to meet with for something I didn't understand her lesson plans, because I had to understand the lesson plan to be able to execute what I needed to execute. And I kept trying to meet with her, and she just kept pushing it off. So then I finally got a chance to meet with her about it via phone, because she could call me. And then once we got into the phone call, I understood, and then I went from there. It was late. So
CL's face is so not feeling it.
Yeah, because that's
He's like, you were late because you did an assignment that you weren't supposed to do.
Yeah, and you didn't do diligence.
How I didn't do due diligence?
You should have went to another teacher. You didn't have to have that particular teacher's lesson plan. You could have chose any teacher. She wouldn't have known.
That's true. But that was the teacher that I would say in that department that I have pretty much the best relationship with, that I knew she'd give me the lesson. She gave me the lesson plan on time.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand it, so I had to talk with her about it, and it just kept evading.
I'm glad your professor was willing to work with you.
Oh yeah. I ended up, but I was mad because I ended up with a 95 out of the class, not 100.
Oh my
No,
God.
I was mad I got a 95.
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
No, I'm serious. That's a big deal.
Oh.
Yeah.
So 5 whole points when I had an A+ going into the final.
A 95 is still an A+.
But do you treat life like that?
I would like to think so.
The room? Okay. The room. Not with you. Okay. You just lost the room there. Okay.
I guess I would like to think I do.
You would. You think that's how people approach life or what?
That's how people should approach life.
So if we gave grades out, should we give grades out? Because I'm a numbers guy. I like numbers.
Well,
I think we should give ourselves
feedback.
grades.
How about other people?
It depends.
Like when you're in a relationship, shouldn't you give like a quarterly report? Like, listen.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if you're with
I'm with that.
significant other,
Yeah.
give me a grade on being a girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, like an NI.
Okay, and your parent give you a grade on how good of a child you are, how good of a son or daughter you are.
Yeah. So maybe if we kept that system in place, we could.
More people would.
It would put a number on it. It would definitely put a
Definitely.
number on
Let me
it.
tell you something.
Some argument?
If I put a 0 in Power School, my email be blowing up. The parent, the kid, what he didn't do as soon as the grade
Well, it
dropped.
could be a great talking point for somebody.
I think it's a wonderful,
Yeah, like, because,
maybe not a grade, but a check-in.
well, a check
Not
in.
a check-in, but I say a grade, like come up with like a rubric.
In order to have a grade, you have to have a rubric.
No, come with a rubric.
Yeah.
And sit it down and check off. You
Okay.
got it.
Imagine a parent and a child trying to do that, and the child saying, yeah, you haven't been a great parent.
Well, I don't know if the children
are qualified
to
to do
grade.
Why
Yeah.
not?
But I'm just saying adult to adult.
Adult to adult in a
within
relationship.
a relationship. But maybe a child, maybe they don't need a rubric. Whatever a rubric is.
So rubric? No, that's the list and basically the
categories.
The categories of
So if your
different
girlfriend
things.
is going to give you a grade, you want to be able to say, like, here are the areas that you're grading me on. You need to know what they are before you get this grade.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like when you get, if you get an assignment, and then so like let's say it was a date, so
She would grade you on the date?
like promptness, dress
Oh, okay. So you'll get a certain amount of points for each.
for
Yes.
each thing.
Oh, wow.
Choice of
I don't think we should-
choice
I
of
don't know about
restaurant,
I think we can
Choice of
actually go
restaurant.
somewhere with this.
conversation,
I feel like we can. Yeah.
I think we could.
lack of
But Nick, you don't like people to tell you stuff.
lack of
so,
phone, lack
No,
of
I
phone
don't
presence.
mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love
all those
feedback.
things we're going to.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I love feedback.
But I think,
But to sit here and tell somebody,
no,
you got a 60 on dress. I'm like, I really tried.
I mean, but that's what a kid tells me when I give him a 60 on the test. Well, I really tried, coach.
Well, maybe you didn't know. And maybe it's a good conversation starter for early in a relationship.
Yeah.
I think as long as the motive is pure. If the motive is always going to be self-reflection and improvement, it's fine. But if the motive is to belittle or to shame or make someone feel bad, then of course it wouldn't work. But if the goal is, after I get feedback, I'm going to try to work on something. I think it could be healthy.
Some good categories:
Yeah.
dates,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
phone conversation, time spent, sex. All those things kind of should have their own little subcategories under each.
Yes, Lord.
And
You
both
have
people
a
need to
40.
agree
And
on
both
what
people need to agree what those criteria
characteristics
are.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We need to.
I think we should do that.
We should create a rubric. Let's create the relationship status rubric
and
post it on our social media. See how many people would grade. See if
Their
anybody would grade
relationship.
their relationship.
yeah.
Let's do it.
Grade their significant other.
Yeah, let's do it. And then have some people on the show to talk
Do you
about
do it anonymously?
Could we do it?
So
it can be done anonymously. I can set it up that way.
So-
but we
so-
might have some people who want to be on the show to talk about, and if we do, we can have them talk about those grades they give each other.
okay.
Creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creativity's one.
Yeah, creativity would be one in a relationship.
So what do you base this on? First 60 days, first 90 days, or just wherever you are in the relationship?
Good
First
question.
30.
So we might have to have 3 versions of this.
You might.
Early stages,
Did we do
then one
early?
for married couples, because it would be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Early,
Yeah.
long term, and
And
marriage.
married.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe,
All right.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
Maybe that's a thing.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
Well,
do it.
maybe
We're
that's
gonna
the
do
thing.
Yeah.
the thing.
Okay. Well, where do you put the notes at?
And we're going to have to do it fast because people will hear this idea and run with it. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
Well, it's a good thing they got a couple of weeks.
A few weeks out. A few weeks out. Now, the rubric, would it have notes? A note section?
Yes.
Yeah,
There's
it's always
always
you
a
gotta
place
have
for comments.
There's always a place for comments, which is the teacher feedback.
Yeah, because you have to justify you giving a person a 3 out of 5.
If you give
3
it
out
that-
of 5.
Yeah. Because all you're doing is, up until that point, you're just checking the box. Like, what is it? Beginning, beginning, progressing, and
And
advanced.
Oh.
And
It
those are the 3
sounds like
categories.
my employees
Yeah,
assessment.
employee
they have those.
evaluations.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to grade myself, and then I have to give a comment on why I graded myself, and then my manager turns around and she grades me and gives me a comment on the same thing.
See, but I also think doing something like that, like some people think there's some really great boyfriends and girlfriends, and they really suck.
Big time.
And I think they just need to know it. They probably don't know.
Yeah.
Probably genuinely don't know.
Where have you gotten this from?
Oh, I have been on both ends of the spectrum. I have been on both ends of the. I must say, I have been a very good significant other, and I have been a horrible one.
Oh, you okay?
Oh no, I would give myself an F many times.
Okay, because it is certainly humbling when you think you've been doing okay. She was like, "Nah,
Yeah.
nah, you've been terrible. Like for the last 9 weeks, you've been
That's a humbling experience. Like,
terrible. Like, no, I was doing good. No,
Nah.
nah, buddy, that ain't it.
And let me pull out some receipts.
Yes, yes,
See,
We've
and
been
at
to-
this
we've been
point
to
right
McDonald's.
here,
yeah. And you found out somebody almost broke up with you 4 weeks ago. It's like, what? Are you
Yeah.
and that's in the feedback section.
it's in the
Like you
feedback.
almost got broken up.
Yeah, I
with.
almost walked out on you. Whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We gonna have this conversation.
Well, that would encourage conversations amongst
I think it's very healthy.
men and women and women and women and men and men and
Whatever pronoun.
not whatever, but the pronoun
Oh,
that they
my.
choose. I can't say that. You can say that as a woman.
I'm not even gonna go there with you today.
Now,
Yes.
let's talk about one of the things that help. One thing that could help or hinder us
Okay.
In a relationship,
in relationships.
is it going to go on the rubric? I think it should.
You could ask about relationships with mothers and fathers
Oh, definitely.
and the trauma or non-trauma that it's caused.
I think that's good because that's our first relationship.
First
Our
relationship.
parent. Yeah.
That's what they say.
I mean, who
It
else?
is.
I don't know. I
Straight from the.
I wouldn't want to date.
I
my
wouldn't say
mama.
something, but I
No,
didn't
I'm
go
saying
there.
like that's the first relationship that you experience.
You interact
It's one
with.
with your parent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think some people have been denied that? No. Because when we talk about it, it always seems to be in a negative light. But your parents can be good to you, so good to you that it's hard for somebody to date you.
That
It
is
is.
that's the thing.
So that's a real place too.
I agree. I think to that point, I have had the displeasure of dating someone who was very, very spoiled. He was a mama's boy.
Mama's boy.
Yes. And he oftentimes would expect me to do things exactly the way that his mom did. He was not very open-minded.
Without you knowing her?
No, I met her.
I met her, not knowing her.
No, I didn't know her. Exactly.
I don't know how your mama biscuits taste.
Right. And my thing was, you know, he was disappointed when he discovered that I wasn't even interested in like doing some of the things the way his mom did it. Cooking the way that she cooked. I wasn't even interested in that type of cooking. I was evolving away from, you know, cooking pork and putting pork in greens and stuff like that. And so I wasn't interested.
So good.
Yeah. But he was disappointed. You know, he was expecting a Sunday dinner in the middle of the week. And so, because that's what he was used to. And my thing was, when you evolve and you start a relationship, part of that is being open to trying new things or trying different things. But some people look for exactly what they're used to. So I guess that's a thing too.
You think people want to recycle experiences?
I think some people do.
Because it's comfortable.
It's
I was about to say
it's what they know.
It's what they know.
Yeah.
And I think people, and some people in general, I won't say all, some people, they struggle with getting outside of their comfort zone because it's unfamiliar. And I think unfamiliarity scares people.
Absolutely.
Being uncomfortable, people are, they're not willing to accept being uncomfortable.
I also think a lot of time, like to your point, because I've dealt with a man like that. It was like, my mom, you got to taste my mom's cooking, and her cooking was nasty. It was.
Nique, it's not one that far extreme. It cannot be what you like, but it can't be nasty. And he thinks
no, because
really
like
good.
he would talk about my cooking. He'd be like, my mom, you got to taste her food. It would have been way better. The way I got to teach you how to do that. It was nasty.
Well, isn't it your job to correct him immediately versus
did.
later?
Yeah, of course. Like, well, if you don't like my cooking, you can go home to your mom and eat.
Nique, I don't think that's addressing the issue.
It was.
That's telling someone to leave. That's not addressing
No,
the issue.
I was like, if you don't like my food, you can always go back to your mom's and eat. But he, like you said, he expected a lot out of me that his mom did every day. Like get up really early, cook breakfast, and yeah, it was a lot. Wash his clothes, and we're not even married. No.
Now well, not physically. That's one demand. What about his mental state?
What do you mean?
I know he said his mom's cooking was better, but was it just more than cooking or cleaning or you waiting on me or doting over me?
I got you. Unfortunately, in my case, it wasn't just, with the way mom cooked. Like he subscribed to a lot of her beliefs that were very limited. Yeah, because she had very little exposure. So he was comfortable with just being okay with minimal anything. He didn't necessarily want to travel because he didn't travel. His family didn't introduce him to travel.
Oh, so he was using like Windows 95.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And he was perfectly comfortable with that, because what we were building together, he saw as a little bit of an upgrade from what he was used to. And he was like, this is good. This is comfortable. Let's not go beyond this. Let's not get a bigger house. Let's not. So it wasn't just with the food. It was just, I realized that, he didn't really want a life that was going to push him or challenge him or, like Yusuf said, take him out of his comfort zone.
Oh.
So it wasn't just the cooking. It was.
So it starts with maybe just domestic capacity.
Yes. That's where you see it first.
Yeah, that's where you see it first.
Yep.
So how do women identify that?
That's a good question.
How would you tell a woman to identify it?
I think it's important to meet people's family members or who
Very
they.
much so.
You think so?
Yeah.
I do think it's important.
What do you learn when you meet them?
At what stage?
Well, obviously not too early on. When you realize that what you want is something long term, or you feel like you're okay with it evolving into something serious, and you're thinking about a future with this person, I do think it's important to meet the family, because what I discovered is people who they are around their family, or the people who know them the most, is really who they truly are.
Yes.
When it's just you and that person, they're still probably showing you the representative, but your family knows you. Your brothers, your cousins, your homeboys, they know you. And when you're around their family, you're going to get to see a more authentic side of them. So I think at some point before you're thinking about long-term and being serious with a person, it is important to see them in their space with their family, with their people.
So you're not saying just meet, actually interact.
Actually interact.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're starting to see who's this? Yeah, he always bringing a different girl around.
Oh wow.
I mean,
You'll
because
hear
if you
those
stay together,
conversations.
you know, his family is going to become a part of your family, and so that's a way to get some.
Is
very
that how that
insightful-
works?
Usually how that
Usually,
works. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Families merge.
Families merge. Now, on the flip side of this, since Yusuf and I both date women,
Yes.
what
you
are
had to put that on there? Women.
what? Yeah.
I mean, we do.
What would be it'd be a daddy issue, maybe, or it could be
A mommy issue
could
as
be a
well.
mommy issue.
no.
No,
I think
no,
I think
no.
men have to deal with both.
Okay,
I think women have to deal with both.
I'm
No.
not sure.
I don't.
we'll tell
I
y'all what we have to
agree.
deal with,
Okay.
and you guys tell us what
Okay.
you deal with.
There, I was
I
about
would
to
say
say,
I wouldn't-
how?
I would say men sometimes have to deal with both.
Okay, talk about it.
Okay, the first stage is maybe the father not being there, in one example,
Okay,
and then the mother taking her hurt and transferring it to her daughter. So now you have two issues. You may have resentment in a woman who learned the wrong things from her mother and then resents the fact her father isn't there.
okay.
So that's why I say sometimes with men it's double, because there's this myth out here that women don't get along. And sometimes it's true.
It is.
Sometimes it's true.
It is.
You know? And especially if the mother has helped said woman, whether she has kids or don't have kids or just moving through life. And the mother kind of under the belief that she did it the right way. And the daughter's like, nah, not so much. You know, it was okay. She wasn't like Claire Huxtable.
So break this down. What does this look like in a relationship? So how do you recognize this if you're dating someone and you feel like she falls under one of the two categories you just described?
Oh, both.
How do you pick up, or both? How do you pick up on that to know that it's actually a thing?
First of all, I think you got to ask a lot of questions.
Okay.
And you have to ask setup questions.
Give us some examples.
About a woman?
Yeah, 'cause y'all date women.
Okay. Maybe,
This could be
why wasn't your dad there?
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
And then she has her opinion. And then you might, let's say it's me, I may kind of take the mom's side.
Okay.
Like, you don't know what she was dealing with.
Okay.
She did this and then you can kind of see where the real tension lies.
Okay.
So you have to have a lot of setup questions to get to the answer. And
Okay.
with women, sometimes you ask the right question, they'll tell you. They don't know they give you the answer. They would probably hide it.
Okay.
But they end up giving you the answer,
Well,
and they don't
if
even
it's
realize
their
it.
truth, then you know.
Well, that's the way you find out things,
Right.
Because I don't think you find out things when you ask people questions
No, it's just
directly.
Through, yeah,
It's through conversation. It's
I
just
agree with that.
Like, oh,
Because I think when you ask a question, you're getting a person has time to process and they think out. Okay, here's the question. This is my answer that I'm going to put out. When you have conversation, it's usually flow, especially if it's flowing and it's carefree. You're not really thinking. You're just reacting to the conversation as it goes.
Yeah.
And there's no real, hey, this question, this question, this question.
Right.
It's just conversation. I think you see more of a person's who they are.
Yep.
And their character. Like you said, what's a setup question? Well, it may not even be a setup question. I may talk about my relationship with my mom and lack thereof, my relationship with my dad.
oh, so she can judge you.
And it kind of spill over. And you do it kind of to open up so you can get her to open up on her end to figure out what her relationship is, mom and dad. Oh, your mom, are you? And then it may start with, our mom and dad aren't together, and the person goes either mine are or mine isn't. Mine are, they aren't. Whatever it is, and then that's how you open the window without, physically going, hey, are your parents together?
Yeah.
Like
Because that sounds more like an interview, and people can
It does.
easily lie and make up,
Yeah.
great
Like,
answers on an interview.
oh yeah,
Absolutely. Some people know how to interview.
I've never been late. I walk into an interview room, I'm getting a job. I would say if I get to the interview, I got the job.
Got the job.
First 90 days, it's gonna be some adjustments. First 90 days, it's gonna be some adjustments.
That's why when I'm interviewing people, I take all the notes. I'm like,
You do?
day 45, this doesn't quite match up with what you said in your interview.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I mean, I have my own methods,
Okay.
but I believe in applying a lot of pressure.
We know that
People-
about you.
Yes, and I'm gonna ask tough questions and expect answers. So sometimes you'll see if a woman got some fight in her, because a lot of women don't want to argue, but they don't want to talk either.
Okay.
So which is it?
Well, it depends.
Because they don't know how to argue without. They can't talk without arguing, and that could be just a defense mechanism. That could be things they learn in their childhood, or just their line of communication with.
Yeah,
all the
I've
people in
seen
their
it with
lives.
men and women, though, definitely.
But they know how to behave at their job, which is so surprising to me.
Not to me, because at the end of the week or the month or the end of 2 weeks, you're going to get a check, and you need that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you apply a different set of logic to that, but I think I agree with you. It's just that I see it with men and women, that people tend to be a little bit more argumentative when they're not comfortable having those difficult conversations. And so it's easier to either be defensive, or it's easier to allow your voice to fluctuate to reveal that you're uncomfortable. But I just think it's something that we need to work on as adults. Like, stop being so afraid to have real conversations.
Well, some people don't have real conversations until they are adults.
Yeah.
People didn't talk to them when they was little.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah. And with women, it's double, because there's this whole man controlling women thing. And sometimes you're doing it maybe to protect them or see if I can trust you. If they take offense to it, then that train might come off the track.
It might.
It may just go.
If
Once
that's
it's
not
off the
something
track,
that you're
it's
going to deal
off.
with. But we, as women, deal with it. Just like you say, it's double. It's the same for us. So, like, we might date a man who has mommy issues, whether he's a mama's boy and he's spoiled, or daddy issues where either daddy wasn't there, or what he knows about daddy is that daddy was a player.
Oh.
And so we are
okay.
seeing some behavior that shows that you think that that's okay because your daddy did it.
Yeah.
And most young men look up to their fathers, whether
Regardless
their
if
father's
they're
doing
around.
well or not.
Yeah.
So if that's something that's a part of their behavior or their routine, just having this reputation of being a player or mistreating women, then at some point, some little boys feel like it's okay, or that's the thing that you're supposed to do. You're supposed to have more than one woman. So we have to contend with that as well.
Oh.
And they'll even make that an excuse. Well, my dad was like this, and, it just kind of, I guess it's just in my blood.
Something wrong with them.
It's just in their blood.
Oh, people have said that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what do women say? Okay, or
Sadly, some women, to me, if you stay and put up with it, you might not have given a verbal okay, but isn't that an okay?
it's
if
an
you
okay.
stay and put up with it?
Silence is yes sometimes.
Yeah, silence is consent.
Yes.
So you do have some that do, and it could be because of low self-esteem, or it could be going back to what we talked about one time before. People are thinking that, I don't know when I'm going to meet someone else, so I'd rather just stick around here and see how this is going to work than to start over or to try again or to wait to see if I'm going to meet somebody else. So some people just go ahead and they just settle. They deal with the devil that's in front of them rather than wait and see what they could possibly meet later.
The unknown devil.
Yeah.
How do we encourage our partners to reconcile with their parents? Now that's early in our conversation, though. So I mean,
But would that
and that's
be
ongoing.
But I wouldn't tell somebody to fix their relationship with their parents, because that can be more damaging to them.
How?
I can give you an example. Me and my mom don't have a great relationship, and it's nothing I did. It's
Nothing at all.
no, because if you knew my mom, and even like speaking to other family members that see it, says it's the way she was raised. Like, she grew up, like, she's always been this way. My mom doesn't like women.
Okay.
Her thing is she has something against women. So I'm a woman. So of course I'm the only girl in the house. She's going to take that out on me. So I get I'm the only person that has to clean up. I get if the trash isn't taken out. I have 2 big grown brothers. If it ain't, I'm in trouble.
Oh, wow.
Like, I'm expected, even electronics and stuff like that needs to be fixed. I'm looked at as, why you can't do this?
I've
So,
seen that.
Have you?
I have seen that. I have a family member who is just like that. She doesn't like women.
What?
I know.
Yeah. And then it's shocking, but like, even the way my mom talks about me, like, her intentions are good. Like, she's trying to talk great, but it's like, yeah, I don't know what she doing with herself. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Ma'am, I make good money. I pay your bills.
Yeah.
And it's like, she just doesn't know how to talk positive when it comes to women.
And I think it's some deeply rooted hurt that a lot of times our loved ones never get around to dealing with. So this person in particular, who I absolutely love dearly and who's an amazing person, but I know that her history has been, she's had poor relationships with men, but they've all ended because of the man or the men being with other women. So that energy where it it should have been directed towards the person who hurt her. It was actually directed towards the women. And so there was this bitterness that was associated with the kinds of things that women do, the nasty things that some women can do, the sneaky things that some women can do. You bring this woman around your house and you think you can trust her. And the next thing you know, like that's some of the narrative. So instead of realizing that the person that who caused this was the man that betrayed you and not these women, I think that's where that bitterness came from.
Wow. So they made women the enemy.
Yeah.
Well, Nique, has that been an issue in your dating?
Yes, it has. Shockingly.
How was that?
I actually had a guy that told me, he was like, I can't deal with that. Like, my mom isn't like that. My mom would never do that to my sisters. Like, I don't know what kind of relationship y'all have, but no. Because I talk to my mom like I would talk to y'all, because that's how we grew up. I'm not oh yes ma'am, no ma'am, because we didn't grow up as mother and daughter like that type of relationship. It
Kind
grew
of
up
like sisters?
Yeah. So it's like, no, you're not going to talk to me like that. No, like I call her by her first name. I don't call her mom. So
do you think they might soften it if you started?
Oh God, I do call her mom here and there, and sometimes she'll like get mad and be like, "No, until you call me mom, I'm not doing what you asked me to do."
Okay.
So she wants it.
Yeah, she wants, and like her, like I do, and she'll even say like, "I really did try hard with you." Like, I don't know what it is, but it's just But like we will get in like full blown arguments, and I had a boyfriend who was like, I can't deal with that.
Wow.
I can't.
So none of that rolled over into your relationship with him? Because you're talking about him relating to you and your mother. I'm talking about directly with you. Or if he had an issue with you think?
I try to stop it because I see it. I see a lot of my mom in me. And when I argue, I hit below the belt. Like I go straight to hitting below the belt. And that is so damaging. And I would have to like literally like step back and be like, I'm going to go ahead and stop because my mouth is very reckless. Very reckless. And I even had a guy say, well, if your mouth is that reckless, like I don't want to be with you. Like if it goes further than this, no, we don't need to go further.
So you think of maybe some of the lack of respect for your mother transfers into your relationship? Like you don't feel like you have to respect men either?
No.
Or I shouldn't say men, or people, because you might hit below the belt with men and women.
No, because I don't even hit below the belt when it comes to my mom. Like, I don't disrespect my mom like that. No, like she does to me.
Calling her by her first name isn't disrespectful.
Oh my God. There's a lot of people to call their mother by their first name.
I'm not saying whether you're right or wrong. But like, it could be with most adults, you don't call them by their first name. It's just it's how I grew up. I'm not judging you on it, but it could come across as disrespectful.
It's disrespectful.
I think it depends.
You.
I think that when you're used to, and especially in the South, we're used to making sure that we call people by their titles and not by their name. So of course I call my mom to this day, and
that title?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay, another title.
But she said that's the way she grew up, which means that as a child, at some point, it had to be allowed.
Okay, let's say what age do you think you started calling your mom? Just any age. Just give me a number.
9.
Okay, 9.
8.
How much advice would you ask 9-year-old Nique for now?
Oh, none. So
you made a decision at 9 that you're carrying well into your 30s, and you probably shouldn't because you made that decision at 9. Like, you know the ramifications of calling your mother mom now to maybe just soften her. So you wouldn't ask 9-year-old Nique for advice. So why are you taking advice from 9-year-old Nique?
No, it's just
you made a decision at 9. Like the decisions I made at 9, if I carried them right now, we wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
Like if you understood, if you were around us, like me and all my siblings,
I understand.
Call her by her first name. Like it's
Nique, I understand that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, But if it's going to improve the relationship,
It won't.
we have to. You can't
you
say
don't know
that.
that.
You haven't tried it.
Yeah, I mean, I call
Listen,
mom
okay, have you called her mom consistently for a year?
consistently for a year.
No.
No.
And you did say, like, when she says to you, you're not gonna get this until you call me mom. I
But
think
that's
her
a new
way
thing.
of saying.
Well, even if it's new,
That's a new
it doesn't
thing.
matter.
I think that's
it's
her way
allowed
of
to be
saying
new.
that it's something that she wants to hear.
Yeah. It
You
can be.
want to call her mom? That don't make no difference in how she talks to me.
Well,
I mean, even when arguing with her, I'll have to say, ma. And it like that does not
okay.
Because it's an argument.
Yeah,
That's
it's
different.
completely different
Yeah,
than you
you're
just waking
calling
up
her-
saying hi, mom, or calling her, hey, mom.
Because if
how you
I'm
doing?
fussing with CL, I'm like, CL.
Yep.
CL.
That's what you do too.
You know? that's pushing a button.
It is.
But what I hear you saying, CL, which, I mean, this is very important. I think that we have to recognize that some of the things that happen to us as children,
Yep.
they are not our fault. But once we become adults and we have the wherewithal to be able to solve some of these things and even go beyond as far as our parents went, you know, I think that once we know better, we can do better. So I've had to repair relationships in my adulthood that were damaged because of an adult to me. So what I had used to bring to relationships was daddy issues because my biological father chose not to be in my life. That was a decision that he made. And all my life, he lived like 4 miles away from me.
Wow.
4 miles away from me. And it was very damaging to me as a child. Like, I still have memories.
So you had to go by where he lived
I never
sometime?
had to go in that direction, but I knew that if I, you know,
Oh,
if
wow.
somebody, whoever I was in the car with, if they turned right, I knew that his house was down that street.
Wow.
But I have memories still of me as a little girl waiting on him to come by because he said he would. Like literally waiting for hours on the porch. Then I go back in and eat lunch, go back out and wait, have my little ponytails ready.
He was
and
ready.
all straightened and stuff. So I remember at 16 making a conscious decision. Like I had this whole conversation that I emotionally divorced myself from him. Like I
Wow.
had a conversation with my cousins that said that, you know, wanting him in my life hurts me too much to continue to have that desire. So I just remember cutting it off. So fast forward in my adulthood, before I got married, my ex-husband was like, you know, we're not gonna do this without honoring who he is and having a conversation and inviting him to the wedding, you know, all that stuff. So we did that. He chose not to come, which again, I was fine because I had taught myself how to no longer be hurt by his decisions. And so years went by. And I didn't see him, didn't talk to him. So now at this point in my life, I went through something pretty traumatic. He had heard about it, reached out to me and called me. He had never called me before. So I had never heard his voice over the phone. So
Never?
Never. So when I answered the phone,
Jeez.
I was shocked that it was him calling me. And here it is. I had planned out this speech of what I would say to him when I got the opportunity. But when
And
he
what you did,
called,
what you did.
it was the complete opposite.
Melted.
It was the complete opposite. So much so we had like an hour conversation. I was able to tell him that I forgive him because the truth of the matter was, like, I was really over it, you know? And if I had chosen to be bitter, it would have been a conscious decision. And I didn't need that. So I told him, you know what? I forgive you. I understand at the time that I even said, you know, you weren't mature enough to make the mature decisions to be a father. I had to throw that in there now, nice, nastily.
Yeah. you
But
was
we had the
talking to him.
conversation. And so he was shocked. He said, you know what? He said, I prepared myself for you to curse me out because I deserved that. And I said, I would never do that to you because I would never disrespect you like that. But before we got off the phone, he said, is there anything that you want from me or that you need from me? He said, I'm going to keep in touch with you. You know, we're going to make this a regular thing. Is there anything that you need from me? And I said, yes, there is one thing. And so I said what the thing was. And he said, all right. He said, I will do that next month. And that was our last conversation. He died before it could happen.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. Very last conversation. But he gave his verbal commitment that he would. But what if I had chosen to give the speech that I had rehearsed? What if I had chosen to curse him out?
And that was the last
And that
time.
would have been the last conversation.
And you made that decision at 16.
Yeah.
Okay.
At 16, I emotionally divorced from him. This conversation we had, I was 32.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And your 16-year-old self,
Yeah.
I think you learned a little bit.
I did. I didn't listen to
You're
my
16 to
16-year-old self.
32.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
I think that sometimes we carry baggage that isn't ours.
Yeah.
You know, you pick up whatever it is your parents hurt. You pick up, you know, hurt of whatever adult might have raised you. Sometimes it's grandma, grandpa. that things that are handed down. I think CL told the story of the chicken back and like why things kind of just happen, and they kept asking and they kept saying, oh, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes these things are just handed down. These thought processes from women and from men are just handed down. Like, I think one of the worst things that I could hear a guy say, well, ain't nobody showed me how to do it, so I don't know. And I think that there's some credibility to the fact that you may not have known at 16 or 17.
Right.
By the time you're 40, by the time you're 35.
Well, nobody wants to hear that.
Like,
especially a woman you're dating. She don't want to hear that your daddy didn't show you how to change on tire.
Yeah.
Sure
You're supposed to know.
I'm just saying, like,
You're supposed to know.
I mean, I just think that we just end up carrying it, and for no good reason. And that's why you make a point. You can't, would you take advice, which CL says to me a lot, would you take advice from your 9-year-old self, from your 10-year-old, 16? When you were a kid, do you have the same thought process today that you had at that point?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Do we pick up that baggage because we want a connection with the person?
No, I think the person, I'm not saying it's strategic. I just think unknowingly, this person continuously gives you this baggage for you to carry unknowingly because of whatever it is, whether it's hurt, whether it's, like, I think being spoiled is baggage.
Me too.
You think so?
Like, being spoiled is baggage because you're carrying around, I'm going to spoil you because I wasn't spoiled.
Yep.
I'm going to give you everything because I had nothing.
Are you talking
don't
about
date
within
men.
children?
Yeah, I'm
Or-
talking,
I don't
I'm
date
saying
men.
because those children grow up to be men and women who are now carrying around this baggage of being spoiled.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't date men that spoil their kids. And I get so hit hard with that.
You hate
Like,
kids?
No, I don't hate kids.
She didn't.
You gotta ask the question.
No, it's a
You gotta ask the
But
question.
like I had
But
this
that's a
conversation-
judgment call, right?
yeah, because what might be spoiling to you might not be spoiling to them, and I think that's where that thin line is. It's like, I don't know if I could judge somebody on them what I perceive as spoiling their child because they may have the money to do certain things.
And that's where,
And
like, a lot of
they'll-
people hit me with, well, if they got it, why not? But is that child working for it? What is that child doing to deserve that? Like, I had a conversation with a guy, and he was like, I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to buy this iPhone 11 Pro for my daughter. And I was like, well, how old is she? 6. What she need it for?
You asked that man that?
Yeah, what she need it? Because he asked me, should he do it?
Yeah.
So it's like, what does she need it for? And he was like, well, she wants to FaceTime me. Buy an iPad. There's an alternate item that you can buy, you can purchase, that you don't have to buy her a iPhone.
A $500 phone.
$1,100 phone.
11.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little more.
So-
things cost a little bit of bread.
So right now, I'm not just looking at how you spoil your child, but your finances. Like, you just throw money away like that? Because if she breaks it tomorrow,
If he can afford it, is it throwing money away? And that's a rhetorical question. But what I look at is have you spoiled the person to the point that now he or she is a brat? Or are you spoiling this person and this person sees it as a blessing? Because there are some people that they grew up in poverty.
Yeah.
They didn't have much. So they want to provide better opportunities for their children. They didn't get a chance to go anywhere when they were little. So now they take them on vacations and things
I can
like
see that.
How can you see that and you can't see the iPhone 11?
Because, like, taking your children somewhere is experience. So if you can afford to take your child to Disney World, that's an experience that I think every child should have. Taking them on trips and stuff like that, that's an experience. That's getting them outside of their comfort zone, their neighborhood. They don't know just this. They know other things.
Okay.
Things they're not going to be easily impressed because they've been places. But just to say, oh, because I have it, here's an iPhone, and they don't even know how to operate it.
An iPhone 11 can take you anywhere in this world. Like anywhere, literally. Like you could.
But she barely knew how to talk.
Well, I mean, listen, I agree with you about kids. I don't think no kid under 10 needs a phone, but that ain't I don't have children, so that ain't none of my business. But I think it's ridiculous.
I agree.
Personally.
Yeah.
And it ends up being more babysitting but through the phone than it is an actual use for the phone. So I'm probably not the best one for that. Because I think it's silly.
I just started to notice, like, when it comes to spoiling when men say they spoil, especially they spoil little girls, it's just like, hey, daddy, I need $500. Whoa, why?
Well, it's going to grow. It might start with just a phone or something, or a Barbie house or something. It's going to grow, but you think that father is setting his daughter up for failure?
Yeah, because I've been with a guy that daughter had a full-blown tantrum at 15 years old because she couldn't get this computer, a MacBook for Christmas.
Oh, and it was your fault?
No,
okay.
like I'm on the other hand, like I'm on the phone here, and she's like, son, like she's going off. Her mom gets on the phone. Her mom is going off, and like he goes and actually gets a loan out to go get her.
Okay,
I can't do that.
Would it be different for you if you're dating a guy who, by definition of spoiling, does spoil their child, but there's also this balance of discipline where the child is still respectful, the father steps in immediately and doesn't tolerate those tantrums? Because I think what I've seen is, like, I know that I couldn't date a guy whose children are brats.
Okay, yeah.
I could not do that. But, if him, I guess giving their children gifts or giving them things, and number one, it doesn't take away from us. That's one thing.
Oh, okay. That is an issue too, right?
That's an issue.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
an issue.
Yeah. It doesn't take away from us. But also, if there's this balance of giving you some finer things and balancing with respect and discipline, I think that's something that I can appreciate.
I could too, but that tantrum from
Oh,
a
yeah.
15-year-old,
No, we're not doing that.
Like
Well, the
I
15-year-old tantrum isn't the problem. It was the tantrum at 2 that never was corrected. So it's
see, you see how far it got, that no one's corrected it to the point where she thinks that she can still do it.
Oh, yeah, but that's why men have to put their foot down early in a relationship also.
He's like, that's my baby girl. That's my only girl.
That has nothing to do with nothing.
I want to go back to a question that CL asked you, Nique, because this is a great example where you were sharing your personal story about you and your mom and how that's impacted relationships. He asked earlier, like, what if you're dating a guy and he says to you, however he says it, you really need to work on and fix that relationship with your mom. How would you receive that? Would you be offended by that?
No, because I've been told that by even like friends have said that. I would ask how would you see fit for me to fix that relationship? Because like right now what it is what it is.
Okay, I have a question about how with women.
Okay.
You ask me how, and then I tell you don't do anything. Why should I answer how if you're not going to do anything?
I say plant the seed and watch it grow later.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what we got to do?
Yeah, you do.
Because like just because you gave that advice, it may have been good advice.
But you're saying why like you're going to do something. So
Yeah, see, I'm not going to ask how.
Yeah. How? How you know that?
I'm not going to ask you how.
Okay.
No, I'll figure it out.
I'm still open to opinions when it comes to working on that. Because I never know someone else's background. They may have said, you know what, I've seen this before. This helped it.
But you're not the only person in the world with this problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It has to be a fix, but you have to seek out the fix.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, like with me and my mom's relationship, like it's not always rainbows and unicorns, but it has gotten to a better place because I understand her a little bit better.
Yeah,
so we don't fuss as much.
Okay, but that complexity with you having children, do they understand it? Because they might see that and they think, well, if my mama talked to her mama that way, I can talk to my mama that way when I get that age because I'm grown. Because there's this myth that when you're 18, you're grown. And you can do whatever you want to do.
Total myth.
And it's
I was
totally
not
true.
ready. I was not ready.
For life. I'm still not ready.
Yeah, and it's, you don't want that to rub off on them and them thinking it's
okay.
Yeah.
That was a big thing when I had children. Like, I didn't want my children to grow up. Not saying I grew up bad or horrible. Like, I was a spoiled child. So,
Really?
yeah. But that's just how my mom was.
Okay.
Like, no, you're not going to be able to, like I said, her intentions are always good. It's just her delivery, Lord. But with my girls, no, they have to call me mommy. Like, I don't answer to Janique. No, don't you dare. I'm raising them. Not saying my mom didn't raise me, but for a big part of my life, I was raised by a group of women. And my mom is the baby. So, like, she's spoiled. and she's used to getting her way. So like, it's a lot. But no, like mom, even if my kids did like try to, my mom is gonna go off on them. Mm-hmm. Like, no, we're gonna correct that right now. We're not gonna have that. So no.
But is that their perception? Because that's what you see. Because I'll give you an example. When I was raised, I had a perception, and there was some things that really happened. And I've always been a glass half full. Mm-hmm. So I grew up with a lot of uncles. I really didn't see the bad. Mm-hmm. Like in some cases, they were kind of terrible people. But all I know is my interaction with them. So when I speak to them, I only speak about it in this high regard. This is all I know.
Right.
Asked that man for $2, he gave me $2. Like, that man got money. We good. Like, he got money.
But what he was doing and how he was treating Auntie,
yes,
you didn't know.
I have no idea that.
Yeah.
So my perception, I was like, he was what? No, your uncle's terrible. Like, who are you? Who's this person you speak of? So the perception and the reality would be different. We don't know what they perceive.
That's true.
So y'all have to make the reality as real as it really is.
Yeah, my kids are really logical and they're honest.
That's what everybody says.
You've never met my children.
Nique, everybody says that about their kids.
Like if my mom was to say, like in front of, like we don't fuss in front of my kids. Like that's, yeah we don't.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have a choice to fuss.
No.
Some people attack you.
Like growing up, I had to be around that with my mom of fussing and arguing growing up. So for me and her, never wanted my kids or my brothers or my kids have never experienced like fussing, cursing, and throwing, and none of that.
Well, you have, right?
Yeah, I did.
So it still happened to somebody.
Yeah, it happened to somebody because I grew up with my mom like that. So like that was no, this is not gonna continue. But with my kids, if my mom says something out of the way, my daughter would ask, well, Mom, that wasn't very nice. That was like, that made me feel bad. That's disrespectful.
Smart kids.
Yeah. And my mom is at this point in her life, she doesn't treat my girls how she treats me. So she's like, okay, you checked me.
They're usually better at grandparenting than they are at parenting.
Yeah. They are.
Yeah.
They are. I was actually watching a Ayana Fix My Life, and she had a WNBA player on there, and I won't say her name. Just you can go watch the episode. But the mom was jealous of her daughter and the grandmother's treatment of her because she thought her mother mistreated her as a child, but treated her daughter like a princess. So she actually almost like sibling rivalry between the two, and it caused division amongst them. And
I've seen that.
Yeah,
they're like falling apart.
Wow.
And a lot, like you said, she called her mom by her first name. She's like, that's her name. I'm not calling her mama. She didn't mama me.
I seen that episode.
Yeah,
some healing needs to take place before there's a true change. But gentlemen, what about you? What mommy issues and or daddy issues do you have you carried, and how have they impacted some of your relationships? Let's start with mommy issues. And of course, Tia's gonna be like, I ain't got no mommy issues.
Well, I don't know. My mom's kind of perfect, but
that's sweet.
Yes, but she is. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe always having a good face.
Okay.
You know, or always like
or showing you that everything is good.
That's all I know. Like I never seen it. Like I said, I've never seen my parents argue.
So that's it. Let's work on that.
So that can be a thing.
It could be a thing when you're in a relationship with other people, because does it make it harder for you to empathize with people when maybe they might be looking at a situation that they're going through and it's so traumatic to them, and you looking like, it ain't even that deep?
I was gonna ask, yeah.
Sometimes it depends on what it is, especially if it's things you can change.
Okay.
Now, if we in good shape, if I have to change,
okay,
we're in really good shape. I may not even like it, but if it makes sense, you can adjust. I can be logical about it and wrap my arms around it.
All right.
But if it's just something you don't want to talk about it, you don't want to reveal it, you don't want to heal it, and you just keep going, hey, what can I do? I'm out. Like I'm not gonna do it. I'll give you a little bit of time, but I'm not doing it. It's crazy.
I understand. No.
So maybe
A little less tolerance, you know.
Oh yeah, my mom will be done with it now. She said she done with you. Done now. Like she done. Like if she we ain't talking about it no more.
Okay.
So maybe that but I don't know. My mom,
and that doesn't make it a bad thing. It's just that most people, because we are very complicated human beings, and you'll find that a lot of people don't necessarily have that emotional strength and maturity that you obviously have. So that means that people that you encounter, they are going to be dealing with things very differently from you.
Oh, absolutely.
And so sometimes like you being very matter of fact, very logical, but it can be perceived as you being emotionally detached and not empathetic towards what they're going through.
Yes, I'd rather just give you some
judgmental.
I'd rather just give you something like, here. Can you go buy something and leave it? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. But I will say, me and my mom have found a common ground with my dad sometimes. Because sometimes my dad, not wacky ideas, but sometimes I feel like this don't make no sense. So now we're both at an age where she can say, your daddy dumb, right? I'm like, thank you. I've been wanting this my whole life. Because they're always on the same page. So now she's like, don't listen to your daddy. Just go ahead and do what you was going to do and do what you want to do. But I never, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yusuf?
We going mommy, then he's going back daddy, and I'm going daddy.
Yeah, you doing mommy. We've heard your daddy issues.
Mom. Jeez. I would say my mom inflicted a lot of I wouldn't say inflicted. She projected a lot of her hurt from my dad on me. Not really my brother, but mostly on me. She says I was the one that acted the most like my dad.
You said that before.
Yeah.
Probably look like him too, don't you?
No, I look like my mom.
Oh, okay.
Look like your mom.
I look like my mom. Well, everybody says that.
Yeah, because you say your brother looks just like your dad.
Yeah, my brother looks like my dad, and I look like my mom. And she kind of has always kind of projected that hurt for him leaving on me a lot of the times. And I mean, me and my mom, it isn't until probably when I graduated college, and I was older when I graduated college, I was 27. That's when me and her kind of had, I would say, some sort of reconciliation. But I really disliked my mom for a very long time.
As a child or?
As a child, as an adult. I never disrespected her to the sense of, F you or curse her out or nothing like that. But I resented her a lot. She didn't support me. I played sports all throughout high school. She never came to anything. Well, then again, none of my family members came, so I guess that's anything.
But you kind of expect from.
But I lived with her.
People,
I lived at the time in which I was really into it. I was living with her, so that bothered me. And I kind of took that resentment, and she actually kicked me out the house at one point. As older now, I deserved every bit of being kicked out the house, but she kicked me out the house, and I held resentment for her there. And then, like I said, it wasn't until recently, I would say in the last, put like this, our relationship was rocky until my brother got locked up. Since my brother's been locked up.
Oh, you moved into that number one slot?
I moved into the number one spot since he got locked up. But what I will say is, some of it is my mom's dependency on something. See, my mom the family's from Trinidad, or she's from Trinidad, and her dad is in Trinidad. Her mom lives in Brooklyn. They don't speak.
Oh, wow.
Her mom cut her off when she joined the Muslim faith, when she married my dad. Cut her off completely. Now, according to my mom, and according to my great-grandmother, according to my grandmother, because I had this conversation with her, my mom says she never liked her. My grandmother came over here to the States from Trinidad and left my mom with my granddad and his sister. And my great aunt Isabel, actually raised my mom. And then my mom came here to the States looking for her mom.
Oh, wow.
Ended up going to Brooklyn College, met my dad, and, had reconnected with her mom. But her mom wouldn't, at this time, by the time she met her mom, she found out she had 3 sisters. my Auntie Margot, Auntie Vanessa, and Auntie Nicole, and another aunt, Auntie Margot. And then, so then they started to connect there. But then her mother still didn't want nothing to do with her. And so, like, she couldn't live at the house with her. So my mom had to rent a room. Mm-hmm. And then she went to Brooklyn College where she met my dad. And then she became Muslim. I think my mom was just looking for something to attach to because she couldn't attach to her family. The family she loved and knew was in Trinidad.
Gotcha.
Here, she had nobody. So what ends up happening now is they don't talk. So when I had an opportunity when I got a little bit older to talk to my grandmother, because it bothered me, to talk to my grandmother, just to get an understanding, my grandmother claims that my grandfather date raped her. And that's how she became pregnant with my mom.
Oh.
Wow.
So that's why she finds ways. She didn't say that's why, but I kind of started to put two and two together.
Yeah.
And go, okay, well, if that was her perception, apparently it was a big, huge thing because my family in Trinidad is a very prominent family. Mm-hmm. So for her to have accused my granddad, who comes from a prominent family, money, land, they own a lot of stuff, for that to have happened, it was a big thing. And so my grandmother claims that's the reason why she left Trinidad.
Oh.
So
and none of these things got talked about.
No, my mom and her don't talk. So there was a point where my mom was actually, when they said she was about to pass, they thought my mom was going to die. And so I called my grandmother and I said, I know y'all not talking, but she's about to die. You need to go to the hospital. Mm-hmm. And then I went and flew home and she was there and she was going nuts on the doctors and all of that. And then I thought once my mom got better, because it turned the corner, I thought their relationship would have gotten better. They haven't talked since. That was 2004. They haven't spoke since.
Since 2004?
Since 2004. And so now with my brother gone, my mom has no friends. Like literally all she has is me. Mm-hmm. And she goes sees my brother every Saturday. But it's me and that's it. And when I was younger, I would wonder why she always going back to Trinidad. Like she would go back to Trinidad. My mom goes to Trinidad 4 or 5 times a year. And it's because she just doesn't have anything here. And now it's been, since I've been here and my brother's been locked up for the last 3 years, it's been even more frequent.
Right.
So, I understand some of why she did what she did. And I think when my dad left, that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. Because right after that, like I said, clinging to things, she ended up in a relationship with a guy that was physically abusing her. Would bring other women home and make her sleep in our bedroom. In the house where my mom paid the rent. You know what I mean? So it was like, so I kind of, and she blamed my dad for that.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. A lot.
The funny thing about that story was, as much trash she talked about my dad, how much trash my dad talked about my mom, when I told my dad what was happening, when I finally did, after it was probably about 6 or 7 months, my dad said, leave the door open. And we ain't see Winston dude since.
Oh boy. All right. Then.
So I don't think he did anything because we didn't hear nothing.
Okay.
But I know he came in and had a conversation. We didn't hear any rustle bustle. Mm-hmm. I know Winston was out. And my mom cried for days.
That he left?
That he was gone.
Wow.
So I don't know. But like I said, about a couple months ago, she told me that she's always been harder on me than my brother. Because I asked her, I said, he's been locked up repeatedly, won't take his meds, and you continuously run behind him. You've always kind of done things for him. Me, we got an argument, you and me out the house. Mm-hmm. And made it so I couldn't go to anybody else's house. Mm-hmm. You literally watched me be homeless. Him, you steady do stuff. She was like, I was like that with you because you were stronger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
She's like, I just knew you were stronger. You could take it.
He needed her more. I know that sounds...
And she was like,
my mom said that.
She said, your brother just
a little unfair.
Can't take it.
It is unfair, but...
I mean, and I... Which is funny, CL told me that. I do this. I don't believe in being fair for adults, but kids, I go, come on, man. Like, I'll make Edison do some stuff because of me here. He was like, oh, it's funny how you don't think fair is fair. But when it comes to them two, it got to be fair. Yeah. But I never saw it as fair. Mm-hmm. And it has affected the way that I raise my kids, I can say. And early on, but my relationships, it hurt my relationships. The stuff with my dad, the stuff that was influenced to me from my dad, and then having to deal with that from my mom has definitely messed up relationship stuff with me. So, I mean, it's cool. I mean, for me now to come to a place where I'm a lot better about talking to it and seeking out the information, because I think that's what I think that's the thing a lot of us don't do as adults. Like, see how early in the episode you said, you know, did you ask why did your dad leave?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Real
ask a woman, why did your dad leave? Well, go to him and find out. You know, ask him, hey.
Especially as an adult.
As an adult, you can have an adult conversation.
Absolutely.
With them, you know, about why did you leave? You know, ask your mom.
And we as the offspring have to be okay with catapulting and actually catapulting the conversation.
Yeah.
We can't wait on them.
They're not going to tell you.
They're not going to do that.
They never tell you.
We know better, so we can actually have the conversation. And that's how you stop some of these generational curses. Otherwise, it becomes cyclical and it just keeps revolving. It's like a revolving door. But this is why I'm such an advocate for therapy, because whereas we don't sit down as family members and talk about the root of our pain, at least through therapy, it's getting out in some capacity.
Yeah.
I would much rather we be able to sit down as a family and talk about the things that have happened over generations and generations and generations, but we don't do that.
We don't.
We don't do that.
Well, I can honestly say my father was awesome, and any man that my mom ended up with always treated me like a princess. I can say that. Like, she never, and if he did mistreat me or look at me the wrong way, he was gone.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can say that, like, her, like I always say, her intentions were always good.
But you feel like her
delivery is way off.
Well, that matters. We can't discount it.
Yeah, delivery matters now.
Yeah, and like you said, like, my mom doesn't have any friends.
Yeah.
None. Like, we
Oh, wow.
are. Yeah, I am her friend.
Does she want friends? Does she want friends, though?
She did at one
She
point
did.
in life.
Everybody wants friends.
No, I know my mom. My mom does. My mom's a social butterfly. Like, she gets into a situation and she'll come in here right now, hug everybody, laugh, joke, and you, the most lovable person. But she goes back home and, like, it's just her in the apartment. She doesn't have anybody to say, let's go hang out. Let's, you know, and her close friend, who was the man she used to date since he was the man that came after Mr. Winston. I think at the time I was maybe 8. They dated from the time I was 8 till I graduated college.
Oh, wow.
And it's like 20 years or so. And he just passed, and they were still friends. He just he died like a couple of weeks ago. And they were talking about reconciling and getting back together, which was okay. And it kind of went left when she went to his house to clean up his stuff, and the woman he was dealing with was there. So,
Wow.
There's always a twist to your stories.
Plot twist.
I know, right?
Wow.
So,
Plot twist.
Yeah.
but my mom wants friends. She clings to people. Like, there's a girl that I dated one time who my mom is still cool with, still talks to, like, every freaking day for no reason that I can't understand. And all she says is, I like her. She's nice.
And that's good.
And so, I mean, you know.
Oh, no, that's not good.
And then the
Why
fact,
not?
I mean, but then a lot of it is on me because I don't answer the phone every time my mom calls. So,
That's not on you.
Yeah, that's not on you.
You don't
Right.
have to.
Yeah.
what? Answer the phone. My mom.
No, I'm saying that has nothing
no
to do
one.
with. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just.
If you're busy, you're busy.
No, it's not that. Sometimes my mama just is.
You got to protect your peace.
With my mama, with my mom and my brother. Like, I feel bad I don't answer the phone for my brother because my brother ain't got many people to call right now. He ain't got much to do. So it's just emotionally draining talking to him. And then my mom calls me and talks about him. So it's just, I just be like, look, I can't do it.
I have a question for you. Does that flow over in your conversations with women when they're telling you, like, an issue that's bothering them?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Listen,
Look at Nique.
Listen,
Look at Nique.
I'm so, I have so
The
much.
range.
I have so much emotional. I would say it's the things that I have to talk about with, like, family members and stuff is always so heavy that the person I'm dealing with, I just want it to be light. I want it to be enjoyable. I want it to be funny. I want it to be.
Well, isn't that on you, not them?
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't you have to be light and laughable?
No, which is true. Which I agree with. I do agree with.
Yeah. 'Cause
So part of it is
kind of want people to accept everything you do.
I don't.
A lot. It's like, nah, that
A
ain't
whole
it.
lot.
Well, what I would
I
say
don't
is,
care that you had to do that. That don't have nothing to do with me.
I know, but to me, like, especially if I've just talked to my mom, like, it's just so much because I feel the feelings that I go through with my brother, feelings of guilt.
Survivor's remorse.
That's the next one. Survivor's remorse. 'Cause we both came up the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like had I done some things differently, he wouldn't be in the situation he's in now. Because I feel like some of my decisions affected him. Because to a certain degree, without a male figure, my dad not being around or whatever, I was kind of even though I was 2 years older than him, I was kind of the person he looked up to.
Okay.
And so some of the things I did, I feel, led him down that stray. So that's the guilt. Survivor's remorse. We both came up the same way, did the same things. It's just there was a part where I said, look, I'm going to turn left here.
Yeah.
I'm going to get off this road.
Mm-hmm.
And he just kept going. And so kind of that. Then it's pain because just the imagining him locked up day in and day out, the things he might have. Then, you hear the war stories about jail. So it's like, I wonder what he has to do just to survive in their day to day. So there's a lot of that. My mom, it's the guilt of not being home, the feeling, the empathy that or that I feel for her being alone and, just all of that kind of feeling. So, and my mom ain't the brightest person. She tries to laugh and stuff on the phone, but you could tell that she's really bothered.
She's dealing with a lot.
She's dealing with a lot. And then she feels guilty about my brother, that she'll bring it up because there was some stuff that happened and she feels like it was her fault. Because when he's manic, he'll bring it up and blame her. So she kind of wigs on herself sometimes, and she be crying on the phone. So it's just by the time I get to a person that I'm dealing with, I really don't want to. I
want to hear that.
I really don't want to hear what's going on. Like whatever problem you have with me at that point.
Well, can't you discuss that with him versus being dismissive?
I could. I'm just bad at it.
Well, I mean,
but recognizing that you're bad at it is also saying that you have the tools to improve it.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm bad at it.
Maybe.
But it's a start.
You gotta start practicing.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Like you gotta apply.
Yeah.
Like I can call you back in 10 minutes. I need 10 minutes to myself. And
Yeah.
Okay, well that's something I can start.
Yeah,
I can start there. I'll start.
Please do.
Have you had somebody to say how and you're taking that? See?
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes people are willing to take advice from people that are worthy of giving advice.
Oh wow! So people have to qualify themselves to give advice?
No, I think that you as a person have to qualify them.
That's some people. Some people are like
sometimes their actions qualify.
No, I'm saying by their actions, by the person they are, the person they are in your life, or whatever. Like if I've used this analogy before, but if you're bad with money, you can't tell me, and I know you're bad with money, you can't give me money advice.
But can't the person who gives you money advice tell you, I'm bad. This is why you shouldn't do it.
This is why you shouldn't do it.
You don't want to be like me.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in.
But that's not what they're saying. I'm talking about when they're telling you
that's our judgment.
Yeah.
And it could be that, but I think everybody has that. And I think some people are good at, like, I'm fine with taking advice from people that I respect. If I don't respect you,
I don't agree with that. But
you don't agree?
I don't either.
I mean,
well, I'll tell you why I don't.
Okay.
The best advice I ever got about drugs came from a crackhead.
Yeah.
But it's informed advice.
I don't know what. I didn't respect him.
He did the research.
I didn't even want to talk to him when he was talking to me. I was trying to get away.
He was a credible resource. In English, we talk about credible and non-credible resources.
But you looking for credible resource. I was just trying to lead a store. Like, I didn't want your advice. I didn't want to talk to you.
But I'm just saying, he was a credible resource.
Okay.
So, I think that.
But isn't that a way of being dismissive of people? So
even if I sit there and said, I will listen to you, I ain't gonna let you know I ain't listening.
Your actions, they'll know. And it does come across.
Yeah, it comes across. You don't think it comes across?
No.
Absolutely.
Your facial expressions, the tone of your voice.
Absolutely.
See, I always take your advice. What you mean?
But you respect me.
No. He listens. Okay. He don't take it. He has got on the phone and done the complete opposite. Yeah. Like, nah, I didn't do that. We talked an hour. Nah, I decided not to do that.
But
so you will listen, but you won't.
One last thing that before we get out of here.
Okay.
That affected me, like with mommy issues and daddy issues that affect me in a relationship. I am the only light skin in my You got
colorism?
Yeah, my mom has a thing with light skins.
Isn't your mama light skin?
No,
Oh, she's not.
my mom is your complexion.
I'm light. I'm not light skin.
You know what?
I didn't know I was light skin. I have light skin tendencies.
Wow, that is a whole nother
That is.
deep topic.
That is.
So like,
Yeah.
I was always kind of bashed for being the light skinned one, and I can't help it. It's
Oh,
like,
you mean kind of like playful, jokey, but that can just go too far and too long.
Yeah.
Too far and
like it's still
plus
to this day.
personal.
Like my mom still says, like, yeah, you know, you light skinned, you smell funny.
Oh wow! I mean,
Like when I come from outside, like, you know, things like
it could
that.
be outside that smells funny, not you.
Sometimes those what's supposed to be sarcastic, funny little shade is really people projecting their hurt on you.
Yeah, and even like with dating, like I kind of like, I wanted dark children.
Just because
I wanted to be more acceptable in like I say, growing up in only light skinned girl. I wanted to be like them, so I would get tans. Like I literally went to the tanning bed to get darker. So like, yeah, that affected me.
Wow.
Yeah, that affected me, and in who I dated. Not dating light skinned guys. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, that speaks volumes to our topic.
it does.
Yeah,
It does.
our topic today was about our mommy and daddy issues and the things that we need to do to, first of all, recognize them and recognize how they impact the relationships that we get involved in. So we have a responsibility, guys, to not wait on other people to fix our problems, right? That
Absolutely.
we are
Definitely.
grown.
Got to be
We can
proactive.
Have the conversation ourselves to begin healing.
We do.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. It's your girl Nique Cruz.
Tisha Samuel, a.k.a. Professor T.
CL Butler.
And your boy Yusuf, and we are out. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Relationship Status Podcast. Remember that you can catch us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. If you would like to join the conversation or leave us a Dear Nique, you can call us at 843-310-8637. That is 843-310-8637. Follow us on all social media platforms at RELSTAT Podcast. And don't forget to comment, share, 5-star rate, and review.